Okay, the purpose of this video is to quickly cover some what I'm calling supplemental topics that we're going to talk about related to topics we're currently studying, topics that are coming up, and just handy things for you to know once you have completed this class. So the reason I'm doing this is when you're performing cyber forensics, you may be working on a number of different devices and operating systems. And these may be operating systems or devices that you're not necessarily familiar with, and trying to give you some background so I can show you some strategies for investigating. But, if you don't have familiarity with these devices and or operating systems, then you're going to be wasting time looking for answers, trying to figure it out, when you really should be focusing on the issue at hand. Now, of course, the two most common operating systems are Windows and Unix, and I've been trying to expose you to both of these as we go through the course. For the most part, students are way less familiar with Unix and Linux than they are Windows coming into this course. The other thing too is many network devices that we will be looking at, or you may be looking at in a forensic investigation, are going to be based on Unix. Some examples of that is Cisco devices. They run an operating system called iOS. Now, kind of a couple of tangent stories related to this, because when you hear iOS, you may be thinking iPhone. So back in the mid-2000s, Apple created a device that they wanted to call the iPhone. And Cisco had already trademarked the name iPhone for their voice over IP phones. And Apple and Cisco reached a confidential settlement in 2007 for Apple to be able to use the name iPhone for their phones. Then a little later, they ran into a related issue, which is they wanted to call the operating system on the iPhone iOS. And Cisco already has the name iOS. So presumably Apple paid them some money. They told them they could use iOS. But Cisco also retained the right to use iOS for their internet working operating system. There are devices made by a company called Juniper, and they run Junos, or Junos. Not sure how they pronounce that, but it is based on Unix. There are a number of firewalls and routers that run pfSense or OpenSense, and both of these are based on Unix. And there's a lot of networked attached storage devices that are based on the Unix operating system. So the commands and the concepts and the logs are going to be very similar to what you see on a Linux or Unix machine. And another topic that's been around for a while is Internet of Things. So Internet of Things has devices like TVs, thermostats, Ring cameras, sensors, etc. And a lot of times those are based on Unix or Linux. So because of this, here's some supplemental topics that I'm going to cover over the next little bit. So these will most likely appear as individual videos for you to watch. The first is some basic Unix and Linux commands, like moving around on the file system and getting basic information about the machine. The next thing that we will talk about, and we'll probably need this pretty quickly, is the grep command. And the grep command is a command that we use for searching things. So maybe you're looking for a particular date time stamp in a log file. You could use the grep command to find that. Maybe you're looking for all 404 not found errors in an HTTP access log. You could use the grep command to do that. The other thing that I'm noticing is students coming into this course are maybe not as versed as they should be in file system concepts. So we're going to talk about the file system, how it's hierarchical in nature and what that means, how to move around the file system, how the computer goes about finding executables when you type in a command, etc. Another very handy thing is when you're looking for something, possibly malicious software or the location of a log, there is the find command, which will search part of the file system looking for files and or directories that match particular criteria. Like they're this type of file, they were created after this date, their name contains this string, that type of thing. So find is going to be very important for going through. And when we talk about those, the lectures will be geared towards Unix machines, but as appropriate, I will talk about the Windows equivalent because you'll have the same need in the Windows environment. So, like I said, just a real quick video to kind of let you know what's coming and why.